Hi everyone. I think most of you have heard about the Cambridge curriculum. Some Indonesian international schools adopt this curriculum, and your first impression of this curriculum could be, oh, it's international curriculum, so fancy. However, if you are asked what is exactly this curriculum and how is its implementation in Indonesia, I would suspect quite few of you already know. So I will take this opportunity to talk about this issue today. So my name is Muhammad Taqiyuddin, and I had been in Sekolah.mu for about 4 months actually, and Aisha was my manager at the time. So, and I will talk about a little bit of our work in Sekolah.mu. So, first of all, why we picked Cambridge curriculum? It is because this curriculum is one of the most adopted curriculum in the world, and so it's been adopted in 160 countries. There are 193 countries right now in the world, so it's about 83%. And a follow-up question would be, how did schools in those countries adopt Cambridge? And the answers would be, there are two main reasons. First, Cambridge offers certifications that students can use to apply to universities. So students can use those certification to apply to top university. And second, Cambridge always adapt with updated international surveys like PISA, TIMSS, and so on. So enough for the reasons. Let's move to Indonesia. Although the implementation of Cambridge has been going on for a long time ago, actually, the studies are quite few, especially in mathematics. Among those existing studies, mostly are done in primary level in Indonesia, of course. Meanwhile, we are interested in how Cambridge is implemented in SMP and SMA, or we usually call it like junior and senior high schools. And that's the introduction. For our methodology, we follow qualitative research tradition. We have gathered our data so far by interviews and looking into documents. So far, there are 3 schools are involved actually. So our study unofficially is still going on, although I am not at Sekolah.mu anymore. So here are the findings from our ongoing data. So the original version or the Cambridge version in secondary level includes 3 curricula package. The first is lower secondary for 7 to 9 grade. The second is IGCSE curriculum for 10 to 11 grades. The third one is AAS level curriculum for 12 until 13 grades. Those are the original version, and you can also look at the full version of the Cambridge curriculum pathway there, including the Cambridge primary from 5 to 11 actually. However, in Indonesia, we have different system, meaning that, for example, we do not have the 13th grade. Our senior high school actually involve only 3 years of study, not 4 years of study. As a result, then Indonesia have different approaches to Cambridge curriculum. So let's dive in more. Let's take a look at this table for a moment. So on a first glance, we can see that there are 3 approaches here. Schools A use lower secondary curriculum for 7 to 9 grades actually. On the other hand, School C Meanwhile, schools B and C use lower secondary for 7 to 8 grades. On the other hand, School C choose not to use Cambridge, but actually employ national curriculum for 7 to 8 grades. And the rest, including IGCSE and AAS level, you can look at the table actually. Next, we look at how these three schools implement AAS level because it is designed to be flexible. It is so versatile that you can choose among many pathways. So let's dive in more. Let's have a look here. I'll give you a moment to look at it actually. There are only 2 pathways that the 3 schools choose. So the first pathway incorporate mechanics, while the second one or the other doesn't. So the second pathway involves more statistics and is meant to provide students with opportunities to engage in mathematics topics necessary for if students want to take a business major, for example, later in the university. And the first pathway, meanwhile, is meant to be for students who want to take a more engineering type of majors in the university. However, these 2 are not exactly the only option actually. So that's all for the result actually. Let's end with a brief reflection on these findings. So as we can see, Indonesian schools, 3 schools actually that we observe implement IGCSE and AAS level curricula differently, depending on schools' needs. And this is a good sign actually, because when we apply curriculum, we must consider our current state, our school's needs actually. And as we can see that for AAS level, the schools did not leverage the versatility of the curriculum. However, we think that we want to dig more into the rationales behind those pathways that the schools choose. And the last one, a follow-up study that focus on the enacted curriculum. We want to dig more into the resources that they use because those 3 schools actually use different textbooks. They choose different variety of textbooks. So we want to dig more into how they implement the textbooks and why they choose the textbooks. So that's all for today. Thanks so much for your attention. Bye-bye.